It's amazing what a little bit of rest can do, right? Less cortisol in the system. So Monday, lots to do. Monday, deep work day. Yeah, this is ad writing day that I'm going to spend all my time doing that because that's the highest leverage opportunity for us. I saw an interesting post yesterday that made me reevaluate. This guy saying, hey, I tried to do the math on what would be necessary for me to live my level 11 out of 10 life, like nothing held back, no compromises, just an exorbitant dream life without any compromise. And what would it look like? So it'd be like tripling the rent. It would be having the supercar collection. It would be private chefs, flying private, multiple houses, watch collections, all of that. And what he came to realize is the goal that he had set, which was an arbitrary goal for him, was the $1 million a month goal. And I was like, hey, that sounds familiar. And he did all the math, and the number ended up being a lot lower than he had imagined, which I kind of knew was the case. So his number was $278,000 a month in revenue, which is a lot to some, but just to keep in mind, that's $750-ish thousand a month that he was not needing every month. Every month he would be working that much more for no increase in the quality of his life. So then he was like, what's the point? I have this goal and everything that I want in terms of outcomes is accomplished with a fourth of the target. So I went through that exercise as well. It's like, okay, is $1 million a month arbitrary? And it is. But what isn't arbitrary? You make the rules, right? Your whole life is just decisions that you make. There's no rules. The universe is more than likely indifferent, and you just get to play the game and set your own targets and what means what to you. Because it's interesting, like I have two juxtaposed identities. One is, oh yeah, I need the $1 million a month. And then at the other time, it's I need $200, $300 a day. Every day autopilot, I'm set for life. What's funny though is that's only $9,000 a month, right? So it's just like you get in these number games and it's such a psychological battle. Just figure out what do you actually need, what's worth it, what's worth the grind, what is your purpose? And what I think the $1 million a month thing, or that assumption that's baked in there, is that it would be that much harder, right? It's a quarter of the goal necessary to get the outcome that he wants. Or me, because I did the math, I end up in the same ballpark anyways, like stuff I wouldn't even dream of needing. It'd be around $300K. Even going past that, then do I really need 4 houses and private chefs and staff? And maybe, I don't know. At a certain point, the stuff would start owning me rather than me owning it. And that just doesn't sound that interesting to me. The assumption that's baked in is that going from 250 to $1 million would require the same amount of effort as time goes on, right? Or it'd be harder. It's, oh gosh, it took me all this effort to get to 250, and it's going to take me 3 times that effort to get to $1 million. So why would I do that? Because you get diminishing returns. Yeah, but it depends on the model. That's what's interesting, because of course you get diminishing returns with the amount of money that you make, because the difference between the quality of life of someone making $3,000 and someone making $9,000 is huge. Your life is completely different. You can do so much more. You knock out a lot of stuff from 3 to 9, but that's a $6K difference going from 50 to 56. Nothing changes, right? So you get the diminishing utility of the monetary return, right? Okay. But something I was thinking about is that baked in assumption where what if it wasn't that hard? All the hard stuff was done to get to 250. Maybe it gets easier to hit that number, which I know sounds weird. It's not intuitive, but it's much easier to take a business. Here's the way of thinking about it. If you had a business doing hundreds of thousands of dollars, or like $1 million, let's say it's doing $1 million a year. If I tweak some things, like I increase the efficiency over here, increase the efficiency over here, those 4 levers that I kind of landed on. So first one being unit value, throughput of those units, efficiencies of extracting value from that unit, and then a capacity to maximize the number of units you can put through the system. So if we do those 4 out of $1 million, like if you get a 10% bump in efficiency, that's $100,000 extra a year. There was a 10% efficiency gain in the business, and you got $100,000 of value extracted. And that's just top line revenue. Depending on the multiple, that could be $300,000 a year. So then you just have to do the math on that. It's okay, what would it take to do the $1 million a year thing? And then you realize it's probably actually, or $1 million a month thing, it's probably the same type of thing where you get a solid business. That's the hard part, is just getting past, like getting it to critical mass or getting it to the point where it can escape velocity, like getting it to escape velocity. And then once you're there, I feel like it's just a couple levers. It's those 4 levers, which is okay. Like, what if we were doing 500 a month? Actually, okay, here's how I'll think about this. Let's just say we do the 300K a month thing. Okay, that's the foundation. The foundation has been established. Let's say we double the prices of what we're doing. And we'll just do easy math. Like, we'll assume, yeah, conversion rates go down, a bunch of stuff happens, but say we pull it off, because that's the first lever. Let's call it $500,000, not 600. Let's just say it goes to $500,000 a year or a month. Sorry. Okay. And then you have like efficiency gains that you could make, right? Higher conversion rates. You have capacity that you could add on. And what's nice about that capacity is you probably increase the capacity by increasing the price, because the higher the price, the more friction, which means the throughput decreases, but the quality of the avatar increases. So really, if you aim at the $300,000 a month mark, you increase capacity, you increase price, increase some throughput, increase efficiency. Let's say you get a 50% efficiency boost just from doing a bad job on all of those. It's 150, that's 450,000 right there. What I'm trying to say is, the larger the number, the less amount of effort needs to go in to create the enterprise value. Because the difference between a $10 million business and an $11 million business is $1 million, but that's just a few tweaks. To go from 0 to 1, oh, that's more than tweaks. That's everything. That's the whole foundation. So all of this is to say, like, realistically, the number for life output and quality of life is probably much lower. However, just knowing that going from 3 to 1 is going to be easier than going from 0 to 3 is, I think, an interesting reframe, because then you're like, okay, it's within reach. Why not? And that's where your values come into play, where it's like different objectives, morals and impact and philanthropy and whatever. It just made me think, okay, those are the levers of a business, which is cool to codify those. I need to figure out what my quad like checklist for the avatar was. But what I think we're going to ground it in this week, and you can see it's hard to keep it all in your head. Like, when you're in the trenches, it's, where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Does it all make sense? Am I crazy? Like, all of those things are what makes entrepreneurship hard, because you just literally constantly reassessing the path that you're on and making sure that it's right. I think a couple things. One is, you don't want to break the business that you have, but then, like, it depends what you want. Because if the business you have doesn't get you to what you want, then go break the business. I don't need it. So we're going to double down on what's working. We're going to keep the 8 right now, 8K ticket price. We're going to increase throughput with the ads today. We're going to make sure, I'm pulling myself out much faster than I anticipated, but I'll eat the short-term loss in order for psychological gain. And I think it helps me do other things, like build the foundation and this side bet of the higher ticket, $25,000 ticket. Okay, now we have a $25,000 ticket. We've already figured out a lot of the hard stuff with the foundation. At like $1 million a month starts becoming like within striking distance. So that's how I'm thinking about it. It's like, what levers in what order and what would you do? And it's hard to say, like, because you're like, what's the constraint of the business? But it's like, what's the constraint of the business that you want? Long story short, we're going to focus on a couple things at once. One of which is making sure there's just enough throughput for the closer. That's it. While he's doing that, I'm going to be pouring my energy into making him better so that the efficiency is good. And then we're actually going to hire preemptively. We're going to get another closer. Why not? We'll get 2. Because then you don't have key man risk, because that freaks me out. Because then, like, psychologically, it's, yeah, super cool that you're like not in the business. It's, yeah, but if that guy gets sick, I'm back in the business. I had to get back in the chair, which I don't want to be. So get 2 closers, get that capacity, fill that capacity, gain efficiency, all of which are the slowest levers to pull. As we know, price is the easiest one to pull. But I think what that does is it lays the foundation. We'll systematize stuff. That's good. We'll have redundancy. And then that's when I parallel make a side bet on the higher ticket $25,000 package. And we try that and see if that works. And then if that works, is it two businesses? I don't know. And then there's another shape of the model that's coming around that I've seen is low ticket ascension into a webinar. I was thinking about it as like a downsell to anybody that they were good fits, but they didn't have the ability to pay, or if there's a follow-up, we downsell this live event webinar. It hits them, and then it forces consumption, and then we have a second at bat with them. But is that focusing on the wrong thing? Am I focusing on the 80% that will get me 20? Or should I focus on, what if we just had like all the people that are already buying, force them to auto enroll in the webinar, force the consumption, and then our rates go up? Or maybe it's two tracks. See, this is where it gets complicated. You don't know. There's so many unknowns. And what I want to do is just use what I have. So what do we have? We have a closer. We have some ads. We have a funnel that kind of works. And we want to get me out of it as fast as possible so I can focus on the highest leverage activities and then get another closer. I want to figure out what that quadfecta was in my previous video. I don't even remember it off the top of my head. High net worth individuals, B2C. What else? That's all I can think of. Yeah. So those are the thoughts that are rattling around in my brain. And then just another thing over the weekend that I just realized is I have to normalize some of the issues. It doesn't matter how good I try to make things. Like people, like there's a baked in psychological business overhead. One of the things that is another insight, I suppose, is there is a baked in psychological overhead for doing business. No matter what you do, like sometimes you just get kicked in the nuts and there's nothing it's just baked in. Like it's the cost of doing business psychologically. And instead of free frame, like handling these escalations and these supports, like, yes, I should minimize my exposure to those as much as possible, like strategically, and try to decrease the likelihood that those happen. Sure. But like they are going to happen. There's no product on earth that has like a 101% satisfaction rate, right? There's always going to be something that breaks, and like you just have to normalize that experience for yourself, because every escalation can't turn into an emotional roller coaster where you're so personally invested, which sucks because you are. But if you come at it from a perspective of, yeah, stuff's going to break, it's baked in, dude, like this is normal, then when it happens, you're like, oh yeah, there's a certain percentage of days that are going to be below average, or a certain percentage of customers that are just going to be below average. Meh. This is what I've just been landing on, is like regulating the nervous system, slowing down, getting out of calls, allowing myself to think. Because as you can see, if I can think, I'm not fighting hand-to-hand combat every single day, I'm pretty effective. Like, it's what I'm made to do, I feel like. I'm good at this. So these are the thoughts that I have in my brain: is more silence, more clarity, more faith, less nervous system dysregulation. Really focus on those things. Focus on the low-hanging fruit. Make sure that we're building a good foundation. And then, yeah, then maybe a side bet. And then just questioning the beliefs, because I can't see them all. Like I have the belief like, oh, we can't do the 25,000 yet because we need case studies. But what if that's fake? What if it's an easier sale? Which sounds made up, I understand. But like some of my favorite people are just rich people, because like I say one thing and then they just immediately implement and they get a huge return. Versus the hand-holding required to work with someone that's going from 0 to 1, which is the same insight if you map it to what I was just saying earlier. But maybe I should just be taking people from 2 to 3. You see what I'm saying? 3 to 10. And in doing that, I get the 3 to 10. Oh, got to go up market. Hey, something that's like really obvious. All right, ads. Today, nothing else. Increase throughput, fill the calendar. We're going to flood the fucking calendars. We're going to hire a bunch of people. We're going to break a bunch of shit. We're going to try to expand the system, and I'm going to try to close a $25,000 deal on something that I invented in my head. And if that works, good stuff will happen. So those are the insights. I'll catch you guys in the next one.